Hello everyone, it's JP.
And Floz from Couple of Dabblers.
So today we are introducing formally our Greyhound, Amy. And we're going to talk to you about our journey of how we got her, and then also about Greyhounds in general.
There are quite a few confusions regarding what Greyhounds are like, what they need, what sort of temperaments they've got. So we will just show you how Amy is, normally, and hopefully showing you some clips of what Amy is like as well, and clear some, I guess, not mysteries, not confusion. Stereotypes. Clear some stereotypes for you guys.
Yeah. So what made us want to get a Greyhound was when we were renting out in a regional town and we had the space. I wouldn't say we had the spare time, and that's why we were looking for a unique kind of dog. We wanted a companion, but we wanted a dog that could fit into our schedule where we were both kind of working different kinds of hours. I was actually doing my PhD, so I was a bit more flexible than Florina here as a pharmacist, but essentially we wanted an animal that wouldn't mind being home alone for about 8 hours a day. And obviously when you think of most of the favourite breeds of dogs, you think of things like, Labradors and German Shepherds, and a lot of those can be pretty dependent on company. Now, that's fair enough.
Yeah, we weren't really set on what kind of breed we were getting. Like what JP said, we wanted a dog that could handle being alone by itself for 8 hours or something, or maybe longer, and then also we wanted a low maintenance dog. I mean, we know we could walk the dog twice a day. That's probably the maximum we could do, so we probably can't get a dog breed that's super energetic, because then it could be destructive if you can't, I guess, exercise or get the energy out. So we were on the hunt for a dog. The only thing we were sure of was we wanted to rescue one. We didn't want to buy a puppy. First of all, it's really expensive to get a puppy. And then you also need to put in the time to train the dog, and we obviously didn't have that much energy and time.
Yeah, and then there's the ethics of puppy farms, when there's plenty of good dogs that can be found in shelters. And so that's why,
well, how did we set on Greyhounds? I don't even remember.
I think it ultimately came down to the Greyhound Adoption Program, or GAP, their advertising. I think just then there was a lot of, it was back late 2015, that whole year there had been a whole lot of news about Greyhound abuse and problems in the racing industry, so we saw a lot of, news about Greyhounds, and then I think at the same time, to try and remedy that, they were then promoting more adoption, and in doing so, they promoted Greyhounds with their merits. And obviously the first thing that is completely dispelled, so here's first stereotype number one of Greyhounds, is even though they are one of the fastest land mammals, they don't need to run all the time, and they are not actually an energetic animal. They are, in the moment, incredibly fast and energetic, and when Amy has the spirit to run, she will. But overall, this, as you see here lying down, will be their state for about 18 to 20 hours in the day.
So when Amy was much younger, when we got her, she was 3, and now she's almost 9, so 8.5. When we first got her, she would actively want to go out and sprint for 5 minutes?
Yep,
5 minutes?
we call them zoomies.
Yeah, zoomies. She would do it regularly, let's say at least 3 times a week. Now, because she's a senior dog, she does it once a week?
Yeah, once a week.
Maybe
little
less.
sprints around the backyard.
Yeah, and then for a much shorter period of time. Do you want to tell them what it was like first getting Amy?
Yeah, well, obviously, so the one thing that makes, I guess, Greyhounds completely different from all other dogs when you rescue them is that they've had a life before you got to them. Not just a life, just as a regular dog. They they were part of the racing industry, which means that they have completely out of whack schedules that aren't normal dog schedules. And so when we got her, the first thing was she would wake us up at about
5:30, 6 o'clock.
The moment there was a smidge of sunlight, and unfortunately we got it right in the middle of the summer, so that means that sunlight would come up at about 5:30 in the morning. She would incessantly be whining and wanting. The only thing that would remedy the whole situation was a walk. So there were quite a few at the start, early morning, pretty much like dawn walks, which we weren't ready for. And so, eventually we had to remedy that by doing things like putting all the blinds down, all the way down so that she couldn't see the light. Obviously it still gets through, trying to close the door, all those kinds of things, and she would still be whining, but eventually she learned how to sleep in.
Also, I think we had a bit of trouble with food as well, because we kind of knew what they like, so it's quite famous that Greyhounds love chicken. And then when we first saw Amy in the foster home, the foster carers also said she was fed, I think, chicken mince very regularly, and not earning much. We were quite worried about the cost of having a Greyhound that always wants chicken mince, because we didn't earn that much. So then we were like, not sure what to do. So I think JP was looking online regarding what you could feed a pretty big dog with, and then we decided on dog rolls. So when we first fed her dog rolls, she didn't want to touch it. She just sniffed it and then just left.
We probably should explain what a dog roll is, because that might just be an Australian thing. I have no idea. So a dog roll is essentially, it's just...
Do I have dog hair?
No, you don't have dog hair. You got what there? Dog hair. Greyhounds shed quite a bit, even though they're short hair. Anyway, so dog roll is like just a sausage. It's a sausage of dog meat mixed with some vegetables and rice and things like that. And it's usually refrigerated, and you keep it refrigerated and you slice it up and put it in their food bowl. So that's what dog roll is. It's not the cheapest way to feed them. The cheapest is, I think, canned food or even dry food. But dog roll seemed to be a good balance of being, composed of wet food with mixed in some dry components such as the dried vegetables and things like that.
Yeah, so we first got dog rolls, she wouldn't touch it. I think we got some dry food, she wouldn't touch it. And then did we get cans? We probably tried cans.
We tried canned food, yeah.
So then we kept looking online, and some said, maybe try like cooking your dog a meal, like pasta if you want to.
Crazy. Make a risotto, might as well.
So then we did that, and then Amy loved it the first time, and then obviously we cooked quite a bit, so there's leftovers. So the second day when we gave her the same stuff again, she sniffed it and wouldn't touch it. So we're like, oh my god, so do we have to...
Fresh food only.
Like, put up a notch again? We didn't have time for like cooking for us and then cooking for a dog as well. So then we consulted one of JP's friends who did some dog training, I guess, programs.
Yeah, she had a program for dog training.
So she told us, you gotta be firm. You gotta show them who's boss. So you need to dedicate a meal time, leave it for her for like 15 minutes. If she doesn't touch it, just take it away. Eventually she'll learn that's all she gets. And we tried that for like quite a few days because she was quite stubborn.
I think it was at least 2.5 days before she started actually eating what we presented, when we presented it.
I think it's her way of challenging us because she wants to see what she can get away with.
Yeah, she was going hungry. No food for 2.5 days. And you think that would be lethal or something, but the trainer said, no, they can, wolves essentially in the wild would eat a meal once a week, so a dog can survive for a couple of days. Yeah, more hair shedding. But essentially, it worked, and we got her onto some more easily to prepare food, and from there on, then we could treat her with good things afterwards, but it didn't. The standard had lowered so that, the normal stuff that was what she ate all the time became now a treat, and so that was much better.
So yeah, we had to deal with her fussiness with food, all because she was trying to show us who's boss. And then we also trained her, we could only give her 2 walks a day, not 3, not 5, not whenever she wants. It's dedicated time. Once in the morning, once at night. What else did we show? We also tried to get her to go out to pee by herself. And we were lucky in the sense that she was toilet trained already when we got her. So she didn't pee at home at all. Like there was no accident. But we didn't want to open the door every time she had to go out. So then we did.
Yeah, we had a magnetic fly screen.
It didn't work very well, but it took us a long time to eventually get her to be willing to go through that.
To push through that netting. She was always scared of it, but eventually. But yeah, but I think that's most dogs have trouble with that.
I think one thing you gotta know with Greyhounds is that because they've gone through the whole, I guess, racing period, when they become a pet, they need way longer to get used to that. So they can be a lot more shy than other breeds. Don't you want to eat?
So I have to put it underneath your nose and you will eat it.
You really need to give them time. You need to let them know to slowly trust you. I think Amy took years to actually be fully herself. We thought, oh, she was okay, like she warmed up to us maybe like within a couple months, but there were things that she started doing maybe just a couple years ago, and we were very surprised.
Yeah, approaching when we're at the table. She doesn't beg, but coming to say hi and things like that, she didn't really do much. And yeah, so that's definitely takes a while for them to get used to the dynamic and that you're their family and that's going to be that way. And they don't have to do anything they don't want to do anymore, so they can just chill out. But yeah, moving on to, I guess, what's unique to this Greyhound. I guess what you need to know is most Greyhounds tend to really enjoy the furniture you have. They'll love your bed, they'll love your couch. I've seen them all over the place. Some even love cars for some reason. But Amy, for whatever way she was trained when she was younger, she doesn't want to get off the floor. Anything that involves something higher than 30 centimeters, she won't approach. So unless it's a very low bed, essentially a mattress, like very close to the floor. So some places that we've gone on holiday to, they've had a mattress that was quite close to the floor and she just jumped on it.
Yeah, she just went straight.
So we know what it's like if she were to be like that, but at home we don't have such a thing. And so even this couch is here, like this couch is only probably 50 centimeters off the floor. She won't even attempt.
Yeah, so we were quite lucky because I obviously like interior design. I like my furniture, so I got fancy-ish furnitures. I didn't want them to get destroyed by a dog or like have dog hairs everywhere.
That's the real problem.
Even though dog hair is already everywhere without her being on it. Yeah, so we were very, very lucky that Amy doesn't really like jumping or anything. She also hates cars. I cannot imagine a dog that would hate cars so much. Every time if we had to take her somewhere in the car, JP literally had to lift her up. She would not approach the car. Like the moment she realized like she might have to get into it, she would just stop moving.
Yeah, so I don't know, where some dogs might growl or get aggressive or, I don't know, yell. What Greyhounds do when they don't want to do something is they just rigidly lock all their legs.
And you will see the tail going in.
The tail tucks right in, and they will not move. So yeah, at that point, you just gotta scoop them up and take them yourself. So yeah, I have to squat down real low. She's not that tall, a Greyhound, and get her into the car. And yeah, so it's for that reason primarily that I do strength training, is just to lift up my dog. because she's not the lightest dog, and so
Yeah, compared to some other dogs, well, or according to a lot of Greyhound owners, she's very porky. We call her porky.
yeah, she's not as skinny as some of them. But yeah, well, I do dream one day of a dog that will just gladly jump into the car happily, go on a trip. But with Amy, that's not the case. So even if obviously she is wary of the car due to things like taking her to the vet or for dog washers. But even when we want to go on just a nice journey, take her to the beach or take her to a dog park, she still acts exactly the same way. And the interesting thing is she does have the ability to get in the car, because when it's time to go home and we're going back to the car, we've finished whatever we've done, be it the vet or going to the park, when we go back to the car and she knows we're going home, she jumps in easily. Just puts her paws onto the seat and jumps right in. And so yeah, it's clear that it's not because she's getting old or anything like that and she has no ability to do it. She can jump. Of course she can. Look at these muscles. No, it's exactly. It's a...
Also, she actually knows what to do once she's in the car. I mean, you will see her standing up on the seat, seemingly clueless, but the moment the engine's on, she'll just sit right down. And then you'll see her panting a lot, shaking a lot. That means she's actually quite stressed.
Yeah. So she's quite stressed in the car, but she knows to sit down and not stand up and get in the way. So no, she's definitely good in the car, but she doesn't enjoy it whatsoever. So I don't know, maybe he was going to races a lot or something like that. They were forced, but she doesn't like the car, and so we don't actually take her to that many places. So even when we're thinking of some holidays or something, we don't normally think of Amy in those holidays, because there's a whole journey between obviously here and wherever that she's just not going to enjoy. And with that in mind, you just think, oh well, should we put her through that, or should we just leave her with my parents or something like that, where she won't be as stressed out. So yeah, but that's a unique thing to her. Most Greyhounds are pretty happy to get into cars. They don't mind at all. The only thing you have to make sure of is that there's a comfy space. They're pretty bony, so unlike other dogs, that's another thing. Unlike other dogs, Greyhounds can't sit. Not really. Not unless there's a bed or something cushy to put their bum on. Because this thing up here is just muscle and bone.
Also, I think they're too long.
Yeah, they're too long.
There's a lot to
the way their tail sits, it is very rare to see a Greyhound sitting, and that really makes things difficult.
I have a conspiracy theory though. I think once a Greyhound is raised, somehow the muscles got developed too much or something, so they can't sit. But
maybe.
If it's a Greyhound that's not raised, it's possible that you could train it to sit.
We'll see. Maybe our next Greyhound won't be raised. But in any case, it makes it really hard when you take them to obedience training, because nearly all of obedience training, the first thing you learn is, let's learn to sit and then give them a treat. Yeah. And when the instructor realized that this dog was not going to sit, the best you would get is either she's standing or she's on the floor in a kind of sphinx position, and then she's sideways. Those are her three states of being. So this is her third state of being. This is the sideways. There's a fourth state, and that's called roaching.
Roaching. We have a lot of pictures of her roaching.
Yeah, we might as well insert them right here. All kinds of pictures of what's called roaching, where the legs are, it's like, a cockroach has been flipped onto its back and its legs are in the air. That's what Greyhounds do. But they don't just do it once or twice for like a belly rub. They'll just do it of their own accord. Most dogs only do it when it's time, when you're giving them a good pat and then they get all excited and they roll over and you give them a belly rub. Greyhounds do it most of the time when you're not even around. I'll come down in the morning.
Yeah, when they're sleeping. For some reason, with like how long they are, well, with the body and the legs, roaching is comfy. It's amazing.
Yeah, she's held it for hours on end and not being perturbed. There's no effort required. She just needs to get into the right groove of whatever she's lying on, and she'll roach. She won't do it on like the hardwood floor or anything like that, but she will do it on anything that's a kind of bed. So, and she has multiple beds. So if you do get a Greyhound, eventually, at the start you might not, but eventually you'll get multiple beds.
They love beds. I guess the happy Greyhound would have a very comfy bed. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 beds indoors.
Yeah, I mean...
2 dedicated beds, 1 cooling mat for summer, and then another rug underneath JP's chair that sometimes Amy would just, you know...
Yeah, and then she has an outdoor bed as well.
Yeah.
And if you invest in a good bed for them, then that might also prevent them from going on the couches. So if you're really trying hard and struggling to keep your Greyhound off a couch, maybe all you need to do is just level up the bed. And I don't think a bed can ever really get as expensive as your couch. So as long as you invest moderately well and layer it, you know, this bed here is actually composed of 4 different things. We've got a rug, and then on top of that we've got an Aldi kind of boundary that kind of encloses it. That's got a bit of padding in it, and then on top of that we have this kind of hemp sack filled with a kind of mattress, and then on top of that we have this thing from Aldi, which is just this kind of very soft kind of a rug that goes on top of it, and so that helps, you know, get rid of the scratchiness of the hemp sack, which is that's probably the best one we've bought so far, the hemp sack ones, because you know, like lots of dogs, they like to as they kind of spin around getting into their bed, sometimes they like to dig in it for no apparent reason because the bed will not change. But if it's made of poor quality materials, it will change because they'll rip it to shreds, which is usually what happens. That's how the life cycle of all previous beds has gone. It's just they get thinner and thinner. But the hemp sack is pretty good. It takes quite a beating, and when one side wears out, you just flip it over, and it's exactly the same on the other side. Whereas other beds usually only have one side in which the dog should rest. So yeah, I definitely recommend these kind of hemp sack mattresses, because as long as you put something nice on top, like you can put this, or you can put a blanket, you know, a rug or something. You put anything comfy on top, and you've turned it into a luxury mattress. So, and there's multiple layers then. So, good for the Greyhounds because they're all just joints and bones and hard edges. You know, like me. You know, you don't want to be resting on something uncomfortable. So you give them something nice, and then they won't bother you at all. They'll just rest all the time.
She would bother us though, because her bed, like her main bed, is consisted of different layers. So sometimes the top layer can get like scrunched up, and then she would be very annoyed. She would whine a lot until it's fixed, isn't it?
Yes. So if the bed is all ruined, they don't really know how to fix it. I'm sure there's smart Greyhounds out there that know how to do it, but Amy, when something's messed up and she's kind of got it all in a tangle, she just looks at it glumly and then...
Yeah, they are very communicative.
This will be one of the reasons in which I'll be coming downstairs in the middle of the night, because she just kind of has ruined all her beds and needs them all straightened out so that she actually has one to lie on. So, you know, that's just basic caring. Is there anything else you think we would add?
I think Greyhounds have very distinctive personalities. That might be one of the big reasons why they're very different from other dogs. So if you decide to get a Greyhound, you really need to give it time to get used to you, for the personalities to shine through. For example, some Greyhounds love pets when they're not on their beds, but once they decide to rest, they want you to leave them alone. So they want that distinctive me time, without any disturbance, without any annoyance. They just want to rest, without any pets. But let's say if you want them over, they decide to come over, then they will be happy to get as many pets as you want, as many cuddles as you like. Some Greyhounds will have very distinctive quirks regarding how they want their bed set up. I'm pretty sure I watched a video clip of a Greyhound that really wants the pillow to be exactly the way it wants to be. So like, if the pillow is on the floor, if the pillow is not quite the position it wants, it will just whine until it's fixed. It's amazing. Some would, I don't know, what other quirks are there? Can you think of? We've watched so many things.
Oh yeah, there's lots of little weird Greyhound things, but I'm pretty sure lots of dog breeds have their own weird ones. We just don't follow those on Facebook. So you will find, as my t-shirt suggests, I was normal until I got a Greyhound. once you start getting into them, people tend to go fully greyhounds. Like, I don't know.
Once you go greyhound, you don't come back.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's similar to people that really like pugs or staffies, except that this is a real dog and actually is capable of feats of athleticism, whereas the other ones aren't. Now, yeah. Don't get me started on the pugs.
Anyways,
They're lovely dogs. Pugs are dogs too. But we love the greyhounds, which is like the opposite. They've got, yeah. So, yeah, once you get into them. But I'm pretty sure all dogs have got their quirks. I used to have a Jack Russell, and they've got all their little escape artist quirks as well. Like, you just can't keep them in your backyard if you try. But, yeah, so I can't think of anything else that's particular to greyhounds.
Particular to greyhounds, maybe not, but some greyhounds are a bit more, I guess, energetic and welcoming than this one. Amy can understand when you call her name, but she doesn't have recalls. She'll just choose to ignore you.
Lots of greyhound have terrible recall, and part of that might also be due to their racing kind of upbringing. You know, they're about chasing something, not coming back again.
And then when you get home, she might not be, wagging her tail waiting for you at the doors. But when you come close, like when you approach her, you'll see her tail wagging and then, looking at you, wanting to get pets. Generally, when they want something, you will feel the intensity of their stares first. And if for some reason that gets ignored, they will approach you, whine. If that gets ignored, they will probably sit around or lie around close to the things they want to get near to. For example, if Amy wants a WALK, she would lie next to the door. If she wants to go out and pee, or if she's hungry, she'll lie sort of on the mat next to the door going out, or sometimes if you still don't get it, then she'll lick the bowl to tell you she's hungry.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they can get their meanings through without actually talking to you. You just gotta look for the signs.
Yeah, she's a good communicator. And I wonder, how far across this video has she moved? Pretty sure her head was here, and the majority of her body, the majority of your body was on the bed.
That means she wants you to keep patting her.
Now, I think it's only her thigh that remains on the bed. She has slowly wriggled and progressed down to the planks, pretty much completely on the floor. So that's how Amy, just wriggling.
If you would like to adopt if you would like to have a greyhound, I would hope you would want to adopt one, because there are so many out there, eager to get fostered, to get adopted. There are so many.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And we might provide a couple of links in the description box to, obviously, the one where we got Amy, and then also some of the other ones.
In Australia.
Yes, in Australia.
You'll have to find out your own ones in your specific country.
So Gap would be a very cheap way to get a greyhound, because I think their adoption fee is only $75.
That's correct.
The other greyhound adoption programs will be way more expensive, because they need to factor in the de-sexing cost and also all the costs associated with organising foster care.
And all the veterinary costs.
Yeah.
But it might seem steep. So we got Amy not through Greyhound adoption program, but through one of the other adoption programs, Greyhound Safety Net. And while it does seem more expensive, it's probably the same price. The only difference is the Greyhound adoption program is actually owned by Greyhound Racing Victoria. So it's kind of part of their way of improving their own image, is by subsidizing the cost. It's only $75 for a greyhound, rather than, I think Amy was $350.
Something like that, yeah.
And $350 is the realistic cost, because of course, de-sexing a greyhound, because obviously they don't get de-sexed until after their racing career, because what if they're a winner, then that leads to its own breeding problems. But also all the stuff that comes for a normal dog, they get microchips, they need to get all their checks, their shots and things like that. So just the normal dog problems. You know, if you've ever adopted an animal from, you know, your local shelters, there's always a fee associated with it anyway. So it might seem steep, but obviously, you know, that's what they say. You know, money can't buy happiness, but it can buy a greyhound, and that's almost the same thing. So I guess we'll end it there. Hopefully this has increased some awareness for greyhounds and for Amy.
If there's anything, well, post-production that we thought we might have, what am I trying to say? If there's anything we might have not mentioned in the video, I think we'll put it in the description box if you'd like to know more. That's what I wanted to say.
Read more in the description box below. It'll be a bloody essay. You might see the difference. When I upload something, pretty bare bones. When this lady uploads,
I want to include everything.
That's good of you. I'm sure that they appreciate it. Alright. Well, for now, we'll say goodbye. Amy will...
keep chilling.
Yeah, just stay inanimate. So she's saying goodbye in her own way. Alright. Bye.
Bye.